The glow from the laptop was the only light in the room, throwing harsh shadows on the messy desk. Empty coffee mugs, crumpled energy drink cans, and a bunch of tangled charging cables. Ryan's eyes were burning from staring at the screen for ages, but he just couldn't look away. The dark web was like a rabbit hole, and he was way down in it. It started out pretty innocent. Just a late-night scroll through some forum about the hidden parts of the internet, with those whispered links to places you can't find on Google. He was a college dropout, living in a tiny apartment in Cleveland, just chasing thrills to fill up the emptiness of not having a clear path. The dark web had this vibe of something raw, unfiltered, and totally forbidden. And tonight, he'd totally found it. The page loaded slowly, the Tor browser chugging along as it decrypted the .onion address. The site was austere, a black background with one line of white text. Join the stream. No rules, no limits. Below that, a button that said Enter. Ryan's cursor hovered over it, his heart pounding in a manner that was both thrilling and unsettling. He'd heard about these streams, live feeds hidden in the dark web, where individuals watched things they shouldn't, things that scarred. He'd always assumed they were myths, urban legends for cutting-edge Reddit threads. But the link was real, sent to him by an anonymous user on a forum he'd been following for weeks. "You're ready," the message had read. No explanation, just the link and those 2 words. He clicked. The screen flickered, and a grainy video feed appeared. The image was shaky, like it was filmed on a handheld camera, showing a dimly lit room with concrete walls and a single metal chair bolted to the floor. The chair was empty, but something about the scene made Ryan's stomach twist. A stain on the floor, dark and irregular, that looked too much like blood. There was no sound, just the faint hum of his laptop fan and his own shallow breathing. He leaned closer, squinting at the screen, trying to make sense of it. Then, a figure stepped into frame. It was tall, unnaturally so, its limbs long and spindly, moving with a jerky grace that didn't seem human. Its face was obscured, not by a mask, but by a blur, like the feed itself was censoring it. Ryan's breath caught as the figure turned toward the camera, its head tilting slowly, deliberately, as if it could see him through the screen. He laughed nervously, telling himself it was just a gimmick, some ARG designed to freak people out. But the air in his apartment felt heavier now, the shadows in the corners sharper. He glanced at his door, confirming the deadbolt was locked, then back at the screen. The chat window beside the stream was alive, messages scrolling faster than he could read. Usernames like Voidwatcher and No Eyes Left, typed in cryptic fragments. "It knows. Don't look too long. You're in now." Ryan's fingers hovered over the keyboard, itching to type, to ask what the hell this was, but something stopped him. The figure on the screen moved closer to the camera, its blurred face filling the frame, and Ryan swore he saw it shift. 2 glinting points where eyes should have been, flickering like static. The feed cut to black. His laptop speakers crackled, a low, guttural noise pouring out, like a voice attempting to make words and unable. Ryan shut the laptop, slamming it closed, his heart racing. The room was quiet now, but the quiet was wrong, like it was holding its breath in anticipation of something. He got up, pacing, his bare feet chilly against the wood floor. It was only a video, he reminded himself. Some creepy performance art. But his hands were trembling, and when he looked at his phone, the screen was glitching, pixels writhing in patterns that weren't possible. He totally couldn't sleep that night. He kept the lights on and the TV loud, But every little sound, the building creaking, the fridge humming, made him jump. He tried to take his mind off things by scrolling through X, but the algorithm was being weird, throwing at him posts about missing folks, abandoned places, and some creepy warnings about watching too closely. By morning, he was all jittery from caffeine and paranoia, with bloodshot eyes and frayed nerves. He opened up his laptop, half expecting the stream to be gone, like a dead link. But nope, it was still there. The same black page, the same button. Enter. He didn't click on it. Instead, he rummaged through the forum where he'd discovered the link, searching for explanation. The thread had been removed, deleted, but his inbox had a new message from the same anonymous user. You watched. It saw you. Don't stop now. A new .onion address was attached. Ryan's stomach roiled, but he couldn't resist. He copied the link, pasted it into Tor, and pressed enter. The new stream loaded without hesitation. The room was different this time, smaller, the walls lined with peeling paint and odd symbols etched into the plaster. The same metal chair stood in the center, but this time it wasn't unoccupied. A man was bound to it, his head lolled, his wrists secured with zip ties. The camera zoomed in, and Ryan's breath caught. The man's face was bruised, his eyes wide with fear, scanning the room frantically as if looking for something, or someone. The figure loomed again, its distorted face just out of sight, its long fingers dragging across the man's shoulder. The man jerked, his mouth opening, but there was no sound, just that same low, guttural hum from earlier, louder now, pulsing through Ryan's speakers. The conversation was frenzied, messages stacking up. He's next. It's choosing, don't look away. Ryan's hand was on the power button, but he couldn't turn it off. The figure bent down closer to the man, its head cocked, and then the man shrieked, a sound that pierced the hum, raw and anguished, before the feed went black again. Ryan's apartment went dark, the power going out in a flicker, leaving him in silence. He grabbed for his phone, the screen still glitching, and saw a message he hadn't seen before. A single word, all caps, from an unknown number. Watch. The power returned, the laptop screen sputtering to life. The stream was still active, but the chair was vacant now. The zip ties on the ground cut cleanly through. The figure had vanished, but the camera panned slowly, showing more of the room. Walls plastered with photos, hundreds of them, tacked up haphazardly. Ryan leaned in, his heart racing, and saw with a sickening lurch that he knew one of the faces. It was his own. A fuzzy screenshot of his webcam, taken from last night's stream. He hadn't activated his camera. He was certain of it. He slammed the laptop shut again, his breath coming in sharp gasps. The air in the apartment was thick, oppressive, like it was pressing against his chest. He grabbed his phone, his keys, and bolted for the door, not caring that it was 3 a.m., not caring that he had nowhere to go. He just needed to get out, to escape the feeling that something was watching him, something that knew his name, his face, his fear. But as he was about to grab the deadbolt, he heard it. A soft tapping, kinda like fingernails on glass, coming from inside the apartment. It wasn't the window, and it wasn't the door either. It was coming from the laptop, which was still closed on the desk. The tapping got louder and faster, then just stopped, and instead, there was this deep hum, low and steady, like a heartbeat. Ryan froze up, his hand on the lock, feeling like he should run, but his legs just wouldn't move. The hum started to form words, barely there, slithering through the air. You can't stop watching. Ryan totally didn't leave the apartment that night. He just couldn't. The tapping, the hum, the words, they had him stuck, his body shaking as he flopped onto the couch, staring at the closed laptop. He kept telling himself it was a hack, some twisted joke by a dark web troll who'd gotten his IP, his webcam, his whole life. But that photo on the stream, the way the blurry figure's face seemed to be staring right at him, it wasn't just a prank. It was something else. Something that didn't fit into the world he knew. He unplugged the laptop, yanked the battery out, and shoved it into a drawer, as if that could sever the connection. The apartment was quiet now, but the silence was worse, heavy with the weight of unseen eyes. He checked his phone again, the glitching screen showing that same notification. Watch. He powered it off, but when he turned it back on, the message was still there, burned into the display like a brand. He threw the phone across the room, the screen cracking as it hit the wall, but the words stayed, glowing faintly in the dark. By dawn, Ryan was a mess, his eyes sunken, his hands trembling as he made coffee he wouldn't touch. He had to get out, to tell somebody, but who would listen? The cops? His friends? They'd think he was stoned, or worse, going crazy. He considered skipping town, taking the bus, a plane, anything to get him far from that stream. But the image of his own face on that wall, tacked up alongside strangers, kept him fast. He had to know what he'd gotten himself into, had to know what was going on. He plugged in the laptop again, his hands shaking as he opened Tor. The .onion address was still in his history, taunting him with its ease. He clicked on it, waiting for the same black screen, but this time it was different. A new feed, live, depicting a street at night, lit by streetlights that cast flickering shadows. The camera was low, almost ground level, moving slowly, like it was attached to something moving slowly. Ryan knew this street. It was his street. The broken sidewalk in front of his apartment building, the corroded mailbox he walked by daily. His heart froze. The camera moved up, displaying his building, his window, the dim light of his desk lamp seeping through the curtains. He stumbled to the window, yanking the curtains shut, his breath coming in panicked gasps. The stream kept moving, the camera entering the building, gliding up the stairs with that same jerky, unnatural motion. The chat was alive again, messages scrolling. It's here. You invited it. No rules, no limits. Ryan's hands shook as he typed, breaking his own rule. Who are you? What do you want? The messages stopped, the chat freezing, and then a single response appeared from a user called No Face. You. The stream was displaying his hallway now, with the paint all peeling and that light flickering over his door. And then he heard it. The tapping, not from his laptop, but from the other side of the door. Slow and kinda like a countdown. He stepped back, his eyes going to the deadbolt, which was still locked, and the chain was still there. The tapping grew louder, accompanied by this creepy hum that was coming through the walls, the floor, like it was in the air itself. He picked up a kitchen knife, which was pretty dull and useless, and held it out, his hands shaking so hard he nearly dropped it. The door wouldn't open, but the tapping ceased. And then this new sound started, a scraping, something dragging itself across the floor out there. The stream was still going, displaying his door from the hallway, the camera right up close, like it was stuck to the wood. Then the feed changed, displaying his apartment, his couch, his desk, and his reflection in the laptop screen, knife in hand, pale and frightened. The camera wasn't out there. It was in there, right in the room with him. He whirled around, the knife cutting through empty air. But there was nothing. Only the shadows, elongating and contorting in the corners. The whine became louder, coalescing into words again, more distinct this time. "You can't stop watching." He shrieked, hurling the laptop at the wall, the screen exploding, but the stream continued to play, projected onto the wall now, depicting him, standing there, the knife falling from his grasp. The figure was behind him, its blurred face cocking, its long fingers extending, not touching him, but close enough to sense the chill emanating from them. Ryan busted through the door, ran down the stairs, and slammed onto the street. The city was buzzing, cars racing by, people walking around. But everything seemed a bit off, you know? The air was thick, the shadows were way too long, and the streetlights pulsed like they were syncing up with the hum in his head. He just kept running, his lungs burning, and his mind all over the map. He had no idea where he was going, just that he had to keep moving, had to get away from those eyes looking at him, and that hum vibrating through his bones. He wound up at a 24-hour diner, falling into a booth, his clothes drenched with sweat, his hands shaking as he ordered coffee he wouldn't touch. The waitress pitied him with a look, but he didn't mind. He just needed light, sound, people, anything to quiet the hum. But when he looked up at the TV over the counter, the news was on, and they were showing a grainy security photo of a man who looked like him, reported missing 3 days ago. The date was wrong, impossible. He'd only found the stream 2 nights ago, but the photo was unmistakable. His own face looking back at him, hollow-eyed and haunted. His phone buzzed in his pocket, even though he'd left it broken in his apartment. He pulled it out, the cracked screen glowing with a new notification, a link to another .onion address. He didn't open it, couldn't, but the hum was back, louder now, coming from inside him, vibrating in his chest. The diner's lights flickered, the other customers fading into the background, their faces blurring like the figures. He stood, knocking over the coffee, and ran again. The street outside warping, the buildings tilting, the city folding in on itself. No one ever saw Ryan again. His apartment was empty, the laptop missing, the walls marred by symbols no one could read. The dark web forums hummed for a time, new threads appearing about a stream that featured a man sprinting down endless streets, a figure always just behind him, its face distorted, its hands grasping. The streams never remain active for long, the links disappearing as soon as they are posted. But if you search deep, if you know where to search, you can find one. And if you click it, if you watch, it'll see you too. And it won't let you stop.